Age limits for elected officials. Given Feinstein's death, it seems an apropos time for the discussion. Should we enact age limits for elected officials, senators, even presidents? Cons. The founders did not see this as an issue. However, modern medicine has extended the lifespan to the point that dementia and other incapacitating illnesses are common comorbid causes of death. This would likely require a constitutional amendment. Pros. The government might be more responsive to its population. Given elected officials might feel less insulated by power. It's never going to change until young people get off their asses and vote. I don't have an answer. I have been voting since 1992. It's called elections. People are allowed to vote for whomever they want. If this were an issue, older representatives would lose. They don't, because older voters are just more reliable, and the system that favors them also would never make it illegal for them to be representatives. That said, I'll take old Joe Biden every single day against Ron DeSantis or Matt Gaetz. Youth is not a magic elixir of competence either. What we really need is to fix our electoral system. But that's going to have to wait for a new court. There are already age limits for politicians. The limit is whatever the majority of voters on election day decides. Since the 1700s, medical technology has changed drastically. And a certain age from that time period isn't the same as it is today. It's reasonable to expect that things will change again 250 years from now. And whatever hard limit is put in place today will be obsolete. Rather than box ourselves in with an amendment today, voters are more than capable of including age as a factor for who they vote for. No, the presidency should be open to all Americans over 35. That I agree with. Everyone is different. Sometimes a 77-year-old is more impaired than an 80-year-old. Instead of a one-size-fits-all solution, just use democracy. If you think someone is too old or that they would do a worse job than the alternative, then do not vote for them. It is really that simple. I would much prefer term limits. There's plenty of precedent, and it avoids any kind of complications with anti-discrimination law. Feinstein was elected to the Senate in '92, limits senators to 4 terms. She would have hit her cap in 2016. Biden was elected in 1972. He would have hit his cap in 1996. You can accomplish plenty and have time to train a next generation of leaders in 24 years. Nope. It's the fault of the voters that Feinstein's age was ever an issue. She was likely 85 when she was last re-elected, overcoming a primary challenger and winning the general election in 2018. 5 years ago. If the voters didn't think her age was a severe risk, that's their call to make. Ultimately, people are just looking for a scapegoat for their own bad voting decisions. An argument could be made for term limits, though, given the unfair advantage incumbents have both by the nature of being an incumbent and the war chest they carry over from prior races. No. Career politicians are hardly ever corrupt, and it's nearly impossible to keep a corrupt politician in until they vegetabilize, shrivel up and die. Who wants young, fresh minds that tend to question why things work the way they do? Nobody. Things are perfect as they are, and plus, even if that was not the case, the people who would put that policy in place would be well above said age limit. Data point: in Canada, senators and Supreme Court justices have mandatory retirement at age 75. Footnote: whole other discussion. But our senators are appointed, not elected. Long story. The mechanism to prevent old age in office already exists. It's called voting. Don't vote for old people if you don't want old people in office. It's really that simple. No. We should enact competency tests for elected officials. Some people operate fine at 80, even 90. Robert Byrd was the longest-running senator and he died in office at 92. Yes. After a certain age, they are just a vote. People on all sides of the aisle needs to leave at a certain age. They are representing their pocket and their children's inheritance and not the people they represent. They also stay. So family members will have jobs. My suggestion would be 75. Cons: individuals that are still qualified would likely be prohibited from taking office. Bernie Sanders is 82. Any reasonable age limit you would place would remove him from office. But, while I may disagree with his political positions, he's clearly both sharp enough to continue serving and represents an important segment of the population more effectively than pretty much all of his contemporaries. I cannot support a change that would prohibit him from taking his seat in Congress. Arguing about should we is one thing, could we is another. The reality of the former makes discussion of the latter a waste of time. The dinosaurs we're talking about are the exact people that make the rules they will never strip themselves of power. I don't care about someone's age. I know 75-year-olds who are sharp and quick-witted. Look at Bernie. I would prefer the focus be on mental acuity and the onus put on the individual parties to monitor their own members. Age limit of 65 with a minimum age of 25. Term limits of 2-3-year appointments for all positions, that way we constantly get new people in and out and don't get stuck with people who stay in office forever. Automatic voter registration is not a solution. It only allows people that have no business voting the ABILTY to throw down their signature for bought and paid for rights that the rest of have and care about. If you're too lazy to register, why the heck we give you the right automatically? This is a lame idea. I've been saying this for decades. We keep hiring the elderly to make decisions for everyone, and then immediately start questioning their mental health. There's a minimum age to run for president. Why isn't there a maximum age? It's a simple concept. If McDonald's thinks you're too old to hire to run the fryer, maybe you're too old to run government. Sit down and advise from the sidelines. Maybe octogenarians shouldn't be running for office while having freezing spells on the campaign trail. Add to that concept the removal of any lifetime appointment to any government position, like the Supreme Court. A law that would protect us from fossils in power out of tune with society? Wouldn't that be neat? The group that consistently seems to vote as a group seems to be the old. And those old-timers will vote for the old candidates they know and trust. This is the same reason neither party can suggest touching Medicare or Social Security nowadays without risking political suicide. So, we will continue to live in a gerontocracy. Alternatively, you could institute mandatory annual mental acuity tests to determine whether the politicians are in their right mind. But those old people voters of theirs are generally terrified of this too, since they're scared it would apply to them and they'll lose their freedom to, e.g., drive. So good luck. We have age minimums, why not limits? Honestly, it makes sense even if it seems unfair. 80 would be a good number to make people bow out. As a boomer, yes, limits now and forever. And if no budget, they get fined. An aged legislature isn't the problem. It's a symptom of deeper problems. It really stems from being a two-party system. Live in a GOP or Democratic safe district? Primaries become the de facto elections and it pushes the seat to an extreme and/or people keep getting re-elected forever. It's been brought up many times before, and I think this is legitimately one of the very few things that almost everyone can agree on. Congress is becoming a fucking daycare for geriatrics who are making decisions that they probably won't live to see the effects of. It's fucking ridiculous and I'm so sick of it.